The elevator groaned its way to the 4th floor, and I wondered if this was a sign. Maybe I should have stayed in my cramped studio across town, where at least the appliances worked and my landlord answered emails within a week instead of never. But rent had skyrocketed, my roommate had moved to Portland, and I'd found this listing online. A 1-bedroom in a pre-war building with hardwood floors, tall windows, and most importantly, a price I could actually afford. The landlord had seemed pleasant enough over email, signing off each message with just initials, AR. I dragged my suitcase down the hallway, counting door numbers until I reached 4C. Before I could knock, the door swung open, and my heart forgot how to beat. Standing in the doorway, holding a clipboard and wearing paint-splattered overalls, was Autumn Reed. Autumn Reed, who had sat 2 rows ahead of me in AP Literature. Autumn Reed, who had captained the debate team and always smelled like vanilla and old books. Autumn Reed, who I'd watched from afar for 2 years, never brave enough to do more than occasionally partner with her for group projects. Autumn Reed, who had no idea I'd existed beyond being that girl who always had good notes. "Hi. You must be Morgan," she said, her smile as warm as I remembered. Then she paused, clipboard lowering slightly. "Wait. Morgan Castellano." My face burned. "Yeah. Hi. Autumn." "Oh my God." She laughed, and it was the same laugh, bright and unreserved. "Harrison High, right? Mrs. Emily's lit class." "That's me." I tried to sound casual, like my teenage self wasn't internally screaming. "Small world." "The smallest." She stepped aside, gesturing me in. Come in, come in." "I'm so sorry, I didn't make the connection from your email. Morgan's not exactly an uncommon name, and Castellano didn't ring a bell because I'm terrible with last names." The apartment was beautiful. Afternoon light streamed through windows that overlooked a tree-lined street. The floors gleamed honey gold, and someone had painted the walls a soft cream that made everything feel warm and lived in. "It's perfect," I said honestly. Autumn beamed. "I'm so glad you think so. I've been fixing it up for the past month. The previous tenant left it in rough shape." She set down her clipboard on the kitchen counter. "Can I get you some water? Coffee? I just made a fresh pot." "Coffee would be great." She moved around the small kitchen with easy familiarity, pulling down mugs and talking as she poured. "I still can't believe it's you. I remember you were always so organized. You had those color-coded notes that everyone wanted to borrow before tests." "You remember that?" "Of course." She handed me a mug. "You saved my grade more than once." I was terrible at keeping track of the reading schedule. This was surreal. Autumn Reed remembered me. Remembered my notes. We stood in what was about to be my kitchen, drinking coffee like old friends, when I'd spent most of high school convinced she didn't know my name. "So," Autumn said, leaning against the counter, "what brings you to this neighborhood? Are you working nearby?" "I'm a grant writer for a nonprofit downtown. The commute from my old place was killing me, and when my roommate moved out, I figured it was time for a change." I sipped the coffee, perfect, not too strong. "What about you? How did you end up owning a building in this city?" "Inherited it from my aunt about 3 years ago." Autumn's expression softened. She was my favorite person in the world. Total bohemian artist type. She left me this building and a note that said, "Make it full of life." So I've been fixing it up, unit by unit, trying to create spaces that feel like home. "That's really beautiful." "Thanks." She smiled. "It's been a lot of work, but I love it. I teach history at the community college, so this keeps me busy in all the ways that teaching doesn't." We spent the next hour going over lease details, building rules, and quirks of the apartment, the bathroom faucet that needed to be turned just so, the radiator that clanked but worked perfectly, the spot by the window where the afternoon light was best for reading. "I think that's everything," Autumn said finally, sliding the signed lease into a folder. "You're officially a tenant. Welcome to the building, Morgan." "Thanks." I hesitated. "And thanks for, not being weird about the high school thing." "Weird? Why would I be weird?" She looked genuinely puzzled. "I don't know. It's just, we didn't really know each other back then." Autumn tilted her head, studying me. "I wouldn't say that. We had a lot of classes together. You helped me understand the wasteland, when I was convinced Elliot was just messing with everyone." I laughed. "He kind of was. See? You got it." I was so intimidated by you, honestly. You always seem so sure of yourself. My brain short-circuited. You were intimidated by me? Yeah. You were quiet, but when you spoke in class it was always something insightful. And you were friendly with everyone without being part of any particular group. I always thought that took confidence. She paused. I wanted to talk to you more, but I figured you probably thought debate team kids were annoying. I thought you were amazing, I blurted out, then immediately wanted to sink through the floor. I mean, your debates. They were really good. You were really articulate. Autumn's cheeks pinked slightly. Thanks. That means a lot, actually. An awkward silence settled between us, but it wasn't entirely uncomfortable. It felt like something hovering on the edge of acknowledgement. Well, Autumn said, setting down her mug, I should let you get settled. But hey, if you need anything, and I mean anything, I'm in 2B. Just knock or text. I will. Thank you, Autumn. She paused at the door. It really is good to see you again, Morgan. I have a feeling we should have been friends back then. Better late than never? Her smile could have lit up the whole building. Exactly. Over the next few weeks, I settled into the apartment and into an unexpected friendship with Autumn. She'd stop by to check on things. A leaky pipe, a stuck window, but always stayed to chat. We discovered we both loved terrible reality TV and good coffee, that we'd both traveled to Iceland 2 years apart, and that we'd both been convinced the other was unapproachably cool in high school. You had this mysterious thing going on, Autumn insisted one evening. We were sitting on the building's roof deck, watching the sunset paint the sky pink and orange. She'd invited me up after I'd mentioned never having seen the view. I was just shy. Mysterious, she repeated firmly. Meanwhile, I was loud and overcommit to everything. I thought you probably found debate kids exhausting. I found you fascinating, I admitted. The setting sun made me brave. I used to watch you argue cases and think about how I could never be that confident. Autumn turned to look at me, something shifting in her expression. Morgan. Sorry, that's probably weird to admit. No. She shook her head. No, it's not weird. I wish I'd known. I wish I'd talked to you more back then. We're talking now. We are. Her smile was soft. That's pretty great, actually. Autumn started leaving little things by my door. A plant she'd propagated, a book she thought I'd like, once a bag of fancy coffee beans with a note that said, saw these and thought of you. I'd invite her for dinner, and she'd bring wine and stories about her students. We fell into an easy rhythm, orbiting each other in the building, our lives intertwining in small, significant ways. One Saturday, she knocked on my door looking distressed. What's wrong? I asked immediately. I need your organizational skills. Please tell me you still color code things. I laughed. What happened? The building inspection is in 2 weeks, and I've just realized all my maintenance records are a complete disaster. Papers everywhere, no system, half of them are just sticky notes. I'm going to fail and lose my license to operate and... Breathe, I said, grabbing my jacket. Show me. Her apartment was exactly what I'd imagined. Eclectic and artistic, full of plants and paintings and books stacked on every surface. The office was a corner desk buried under papers. Okay, I said, rolling up my sleeves. This is actually not that bad. Do you have file folders? We spent the entire day organizing. I created systems while Autumn told me stories about each repair, each tenant, each decision she'd made about the building. She ordered Thai food for lunch and pizza for dinner. We worked until midnight, and when we finally finished, her records were immaculate. You're a miracle worker, Autumn said, collapsing onto her couch. Seriously, Morgan, I don't know what I would have done without you. I sat beside her, suddenly aware of how close we were. That's what friends are for, right? Friends, she repeated softly. Then, can I tell you something? Of course. I had the biggest crush on you in high school. The words hung in the air between us. My heart hammered against my ribs. What? Autumn laughed. Nervous. I know. I was too chicken to ever say anything. You seemed so self-contained, and I was this chaotic debate kid. I figured you'd never be interested in someone like me. Autumn. My voice came out shaky. I had a crush on you too. Like a massive, all-consuming wrote your name in my journal with hearts kind of crush. Her eyes widened. Seriously. Seriously. We stared at each other, and then we both started laughing, the kind of laughter that comes from relief and absurdity, and the cosmic joke of two people pining for each other across classrooms and never saying a word. We were idiots, Autumn said, wiping her eyes. The biggest idiots. So, what do we do now? Second chance and all that? She asked. My heart felt too big for my chest. I'd really like to take you to dinner. Like an actual date. If you want. I want. Her smile was radiant. I really, really want. We went to dinner the following weekend at a small Italian place she loved. We talked for 4 hours, the conversation flowing as easily as it had on her roof, in my apartment, during all those maintenance visits that had become less about leaky faucets and more about finding excuses to see each other. Walking home, she slipped her hand into mine, and it felt like the most natural thing in the world. I'm really glad you answered my apartment listing, Autumn said as we reached the building. I'm really glad my landlord turned out to be you. She squeezed my hand. Same time next week? It's a date. We stood there for a moment, just smiling at each other like lovesick teenagers, making up for all the moments we'd missed the first time around. And as I headed upstairs to my apartment, the one with the perfect light and the landlord who'd turned into so much more, I thought about Autumn's aunt and her note about making the building full of life. Mission accomplished.